52 entries, 7 different classes, and on top of that, all 1,000 kilometers to ride over 3 days. That's the story of the Toyota Dealer 1000 here in Lydenburg and Mpumalanga. Add to that it's the penultimate leg of the ABSA Off-Road Challenge Series, then you know that this one is going to test man and machine.
It's round 7 of the ABSA SA Off-Road Championship, and with most of the classes still up for grabs, the next venue was the fast-growing town of Lydenburg in Mpumalanga. Nestled just below the Lowveld Escarpment, just more than 300 kilometers north of Johannesburg, and the local rugby club grounds hosted the big works teams and the privateers. The final preparations before the prologue always sports a nervous air to it, but the air was loaded with even more anticipation this time. The boys and their toys had to last twice as much distance in this one, around 1,000 kilometers, so the drivers and their teams knew they would have their work cut out for them. As the drivers got their briefing, let's brief you. A 2-horse race at the top for the national title. Hannes Grobler and navigator Francois Jordan had a slender 16-point gap over Nissan Motorsport teammate Alfie Cox and Rolf Pitchford in their proudly South African 3.5-litre V6s. Grobler would have to approach this one cautiously. After all, it was a long way to go, and you and your car had to get to the finish line in one piece. For starters, the organisers put the teams through their paces with a 9-kilometre prologue on the outskirts of Lydenburg. It was what Grobler called a Mickey Mouse stage, but it was a nice warm-up to see whether the car was going okay. In the defending champions' case, it just confirmed what the Nissan team already knew. The hard body was indeed just that, in hard and very fit shape. Ready to tackle the remaining 991 Ks, Grobler clocked the fastest time of the day, 1 second under the 8-minute mark. Mark Corbett in the back 2.4 Audi engine space frame impressed through the first river crossing after a K&a-half and just kept it going. He and co-driver Jean Moore gave it stick in the Century Property Development spat with the Audi engine and set a benchmark for the rest of the special category cars. They stopped the clocks at 8 minutes and 24 seconds. Gary Bertolt and Siegfried Rousseau were next, and they took no prisoners as they launched the advanced soft I-Burst Nissan 3.5 bat through its paces on this tight circuit. They realized it required the utmost patience, skills and flat-out driving in a marriage with controlled aggression. The Dio would eventually grab 7th place amongst the 52 competitors in the field at 8 minutes and 18 seconds. John Weir-Smith and Desmond Fischer and their Kopenhagen Hotel super team Jimco went super quick during the prologue and made a few teams sit up and take note. On the bridge at the 1.5K mark, the spectators were treated to Clint Gibson and Marcel Trethry flying along in the Gibson plant hire bat with that big Chevy 5.7 motor purring along behind them. They were right on song from the word go and looked ready to do the business. That drive gave them 8th place. The father and son combination of Richard and Gareth Walk in their Chenoweth Super Pave car led the special vehicle class and shocked all but 50 other teams as they flew to the second fastest clocking of the day, just 2 seconds behind Grobler in 8 minutes and 1 second. The crew are known for their wild man driving. Bevan Bertolt and his hair-on-teeth navigator Nick Salomolela almost lost it there, but were able to nurse the I-Burst back 5.7 around fast enough to take 9th place. The big surprise of the day was undoubtedly the flying German Karl-Heinz Solwald in his single-seater who, if you'll pardon the pun, single-handedly went round the 9Ks in 8:10, good enough to take 4th place. Grobler and Jordan, chasing the title, nabbed the quickest time while the works get the closest. The second Nissan, former champ Duncan Vos and Henny ter Steege, take 3rd, while the third Nissan, piloted by Dakar legend Alfie Cox, ominously takes 5th. Cox was cautious after the prologue and guarded about his first foray into the Mpumalanga forests and mountains.
Yeah, look, that first little 14-kilometer section, just to rattle you a little bit, was very tight and twisty. But, you know, like I say, it's 2 long days, and sure, this is the longest prologue we've ever had, 170 Ks that it's coming up, but the feelings are, you know, new area, you know, virgin ground, and yeah, it's got to be good to go out and see what they're going to put us through.
Grobler was off first on the first leg over 167 Ks, and that would be a blessing. He would not have to contend with the dust. He went out hard, and after 100 Ks of racing, he'd built a commanding 10-minute cushion. But that all changed. First, they whacked a sapling which sent bodywork flying, and then a wheel hub disintegrated. Despite some hard work, swearing and cajoling, the champion could not finish the stage. In the mist, Sabi Cox had had his own dramas after Navigator Pitchford, and he had made the wrong call and got lost. That cost them at least 5 minutes by their own calculations. To top that, they had a severe sealing problem inside the cockpit. The dust was almost unbearable. The men known as the Diamond Diggers, Gerard du Plessis and his co-driver Ferdi Seges, were third in the championship after clinching 2 wins in the special category this season. And they were also putting pedal to the metal at a rate of knots. Once down from the top of the berg, Gary Bertelt and Siegfried Rousseau were moving well but taking no chances. They were just a few minutes off the pace set by the Nissan lads in front. Bertelt was throwing it around with abandon. Shamir Variawa and his nav Andrew or VZ Van Sail in the total Jimco were 8th overall in class and intent on trying to move up. A solid showing in the prologue helped their cause immensely. There they cracked 9 minutes to get things rolling along on the right note. The forests of Sabi can be endless and cover hills and dales for just about ever. Bevan Bertelt and Nick Salomolela and their I-burst bat had to work hard as they were trying to make an impression on the class leaders. Fresh out of the thick mist and past some really scary cliffs came the walks. The Super Pay father and son combination. They were still basking in the afterglow of their prologue runners-up spot and were cautious. Clint Gibson and his co-driver Marcel Trethry, who was experiencing of all things car sickness in their batch Chevy. They had finished 8th in the prologue, proving that they were quick. Now, despite the feeling of nausea, they had to get things going. Ford Racing's Manfred Schroeder and co-driver Alec Harris had that 4-litre engine under the hood purring along like a big cat. Schroeder was in 3rd place in the championship behind Henry Zamatten and was making an impression. In Class B, the diminutive Evan Hutchinson and co-driver Vincent Horn led by 14 points in their Motorrad Racing Team back 2-litre Nissan-powered special, and they knew they had to secure the championship. They needed to finish well, and that's what they set out to achieve. Corbett and Moore charging along in 10th place overall, and well up in their class, they charged a little too hard. And the end of their Toyota Dealer 1000 campaign came almost swiftly. A slight miscalculation in the wrong spot. Luckily, they did get it going again. Gavin Cronje and navigator Robin Houghton were 4th in the championship race with 65 points behind Schroeder, brother Mark Cronje and Zamatten, so for them a finish would have been a bonus. Their first goal was to keep the Castrol Toyota 2.7 squarely on the surface at all times. As for his brother Mark and co-driver Chris Bergen, their race came to an unexpected stop. Cronje, a little aggressive, rolls it once, but then he tries to get it going, and the real drama starts.
Well, you okay?
He was taken to hospital to treat concussion. In contrast, in Class E, Chris Visser and Jampie Badenhorst were going superbly. They were picking up the pieces where others went wrong or crashed out, and they would eventually finish 4th overall, clocking 2 hours and 44 minutes, just 5 minutes behind the winner. The Motorrad crew of Evan Hutchison and Vincent Horn in their back 2-litre Nissan had started troubles before the off, but once they got the little black and silver demon going, it was really going well. They were 7 minutes off the pace, but sticking to their pre-race plan of going steadily. Another name which quietly whittled itself into top 10 contention was Paulo Piazzamuso and his nav Oki Fourie. The Toyota had quietly gone about its business, and in the opening leg they were quick and effective. The championship leader in Class D, Henry Zamatten in the Mastercraft Ryobi Mitsubishi with Bodo Schwegler in the passenger seat, has been ultra consistent. In fact, they hold a world record for finishing off-road events, 20 and counting. The Top Car team of Dion Skuman and co-driver Jan Syme in their Nissan were on top of their game, as it seemed that the conditions overhead and underfoot suited them perfectly. The question was, though, could a presenter and a producer agree about the right road forward? It may look like mellow yellow, but Gil Nil and his hard-working nav Peter Newbury in their Luke Subaru 2-litre were eating up the ground. In car now with Labuskaghni and Gerber and the 167-kilometer stage with the route running from the edge of the escarpment east of Lydenburg and next to the Long Tom Pass included forests and cliffs. Like the Beatles sang, a long and winding road. Another of the blue liveried Fords, this time the melodic-sounding duo of Bafumzi Rabuluza and Kulile Fakaliza, who did themselves no favours with this little personal roundabout. It just gave Thomas Rundle and Mike Lawrenson time to catch them in the Baden Tyre Services Nissan. Another big surprise on the 167k shift to Sabi was John Thompson and Clinton McNamara, who really flew along. They took 14th place overall and hauled themselves up in Class B. However, leg 1 was a triumph for Cox and Pitchford. When they eventually clocked in, they'd made up all the time lost and then some. They finished 3 minutes and 55 seconds ahead of the rest, but the 167k certainly took its toll.
How'd it go today?
Yeah, look, we got lost about 3 kilometers into the stage, and the road book was not so clear, and we ended up coming back. We lost 4 or 5 minutes. We got from 2nd place, I think, to almost 5th place. And then we saw Corbett leave the road, shame, in the Sandmaster in a big hole. But then we ended up coming into the mist, and really, literally, you couldn't see 2 meters in front of you. It was the worst day we've ever had, must be honest. But, you know, all in all, it was long and tedious in the forest. You know, you have to always control yourself because you can slip off the road so easily. So, sure, for a rally stage it was good, but it was quite tough for an off-road. A lot of concentration. But we hear that we didn't realize that Hannes, we thought he was gone. I mean, after we lost the time this morning, and we thought, let's just settle down and go on our pace. We heard that he's out, he's broken something. So, you know, the race is not over, it's a long way to go, and the idea was to conserve the car right until the last day, which...
You've got that right, have you?
We have to do that now, yeah.
Someone else who got that right on the first day of the Toyota Dealer 1000 was Ford Racing's Manfred Schroeder, who was a little surprised but at the same time delighted to be second overall and leading in Class D.
Oh, this track is beautiful. I mean, it's the most fun we've had in a car for a long, long time. You know, I prefer the rally type fast stages. It was very nice. You know, very disappointing when we got to the top. The mist was thick. We couldn't see where we were going. And I said, oh dear, here goes our nice roads. But when we got to the bottom, it was nice and clear, and we could go flat out and caught quite a few space frames. They let us past, and Jan had a beautiful, clean run.
Castrol Toyota's Zane Pierce piloted himself and Navheni Vosloo to a fine second place in Class E and 12th overall. For them, it was all about the pace.
Yeah, we paced ourselves. There were some hell of a fast sections, and I think if you really push, you could get yourself into trouble. We saw a few guys off the road who were obviously going a bit too fast. We decided to slow down a bit, and you know, it's just the start of a 3-day event, so we need to finish every day to get there to finish.
The top 10, and Cox would be able to nurse his car to the finish on Saturday and still get a win, which should give him a great championship shot. But there were still several 100Ks to go. The big surprise, Hannes Krobler nowhere to be seen after breaking down and not finishing. So the sun set on day 1, but day 2 sees the longest 2 legs of the Toyota Dealer 1000 with 2 stages totaling 540 Ks.